Now that we've seen all the fallout from Jura being back inside of the Hidden Leaf Village, one of the more pressing dilemmas that we have following the last chapters, that cliffhanger of Kurama speaking to Himawari, is whether or not Kurama has manifested and maintained his memories and knows that Boruto is Himawari's brother, and if he does know, will he tell her in the upcoming manga chapter? That's why in today's newest Naruto Explained video, I want to have a discussion with you guys on some of the signs that we have in the story that have led us to this moment and what the impact will be if Kurama does tell Himawari that Boruto is her brother, because that shakes the story up in a major way. For clarification, we are not going to be discussing if Kurama was affected by Omnipotence or if this is the same Kurama that possessed both halves of the Nine-Tails chakra inside of Naruto, because we've already discussed those topics in a couple of videos. I break up the topics specifically so the people that want those types of questions answered get those in those videos specifically. So for this video, we're just going to assume that yes, this is the same Kurama and that this Kurama isn't or wasn't affected by Omnipotence. So I think one of the biggest things we have to consider is that when it comes to Kurama telling Himawari the truth potentially about Boruto, is the fact that from the very first chapter of Boruto 2 Blue Vortex, it was made clear that while the whole world was dead set on believing that Boruto killed Naruto and Hinata because of the lies that Kawaki told after Omnipotence was casted, and everyone believed that Kawaki was Naruto's naturally born son because Omnipotence switched the minds of everyone, with everything that their memories associate with Boruto now being associated with Kawaki and vice versa. Despite all this, Himawari for 3 years, she kept her thoughts to herself, that something just didn't feel right, and she didn't buy into everything she was being told, to the point where when she first shares her concerns with Team 10 in chapter 1 of Boruto 2 Blue Vortex, she looked as if she was afraid to do so, as if she was afraid of being judged. Himawari wasn't immune to Omnipotence based on what we saw get stated, so much as the fact that she was feeling like something was off and it didn't feel right, because the adopted brother she remembers, which in her mind would be Boruto, was someone who loved her father Naruto so much that he was willing to risk injury to himself to protect herself and Naruto from Delta's chakra beams. While her memory, it was altered, her heart told her that someone who was willing to go that far for her father so soon after meeting him and living under the same house as him, sharing meals with him, sleeping in the same bedroom with him, that someone like that wouldn't just snap and kill her father and her mother out of nowhere. As we've seen with Omnipotence via Amato, it was not impossible for those who are affected by Omnipotence and had their memories altered to look at the information made available to them and realize, hey, something is off. While Himawari isn't a mad scientist like Amato, who realized that something was wrong because of his ninja tech being inside of Kawaki, something that no one else could have replicated but him, and his daughter's DNA being inside of Kawaki's karma, again, something that only he himself could have managed. She is someone who appears to have inherited something just as important from her father Naruto as Boruto getting Minato's genius aptitude for learning things super fast. Naruto might not have been the smartest guy in the Hidden Leaf Village. He couldn't tell you what 10 plus 10 equaled without pulling off his socks and shoes and count using the toes on both of his feet, but he is someone who had a very high and underrated emotional intelligence, and that is something that Himawari has shown signs in both the manga and anime of possessing. Himawari knows that despite everything that everyone is saying, her parents, they weren't killed by Boruto, even if she can't prove it, which brings us to the next point. Himawari stated that even though she couldn't explain why, she knew that her parents, in particular her father, was still alive, and we know why now, because Himawari possesses the chakra of the Nine-Tails, and Kurama was inside of Naruto for a long time. Even with the Nine-Tails chakra being burned up when Kurama died, it still opened up the door for that good old chakra mumbo and jumbo that we've seen this series do multiple times to explain stuff in the past. That'd be right up there with Hashirama cells, even in the Boruto era, still being relevant for some of the stuff like ninja tech that exists in the Naruto world now, including the bionic ninja nanotech that increases power levels. Himawari saying that she could feel her father despite him being in another dimension, that was our sign that Himawari would be one of the ones to figure out the truth. It doesn't matter if she figured out the truth, but a matter of when and if it all fits and how it fits into Kawaki's downfall, and that he is so worried about Naruto's oldest son that he hasn't paid attention to Naruto's youngest child, something that is easy to overlook. Himawari is so sweet and innocent, you don't really think that the wheels are turning behind those eyes, but they are. We see it made heavily implied that Kawaki, he's been a bit cold to Himawari, telling her, don't call me big brother, implying that this is something that has happened numerous times in the past, the last 3 years. And for Himawari, that's something that she's been ridden as doing multiple times with Boruto throughout their life. That's her endearment term for her big brother, and Boruto always accepted it with a warm smile on his face. But now with Kawaki pretending to be her big brother, he's been cold towards her because Kawaki has never known what it truly means to have a little sister and to have someone that genuinely loves you for you, even though again her memories have been altered. On the surface level, it can be really easy to say that Kawaki, in the eyes of a lot of people, had every right to be a bit more jaded. In their eyes, Kawaki just suffered the ultimate betrayal. The guy who he initially didn't want inside the village, the guy who his father Naruto vouched for more than once, which again, for clarification purposes, this is in the minds of all the people affected by omnipotence. Death, it changes people. Trauma, it changes people. And so this wouldn't be the craziest response for some people to look at Kawaki with. If anything could take the smile off of Naruto's son's face, it would be definitely the idea of his adopted brother killing his parents. That would be something warranted. Nobody would blame him. Sasuke was a very happy-go-lucky child before Itachi killed their parents. However, the person who knows her brother better than anyone else is Himawari Uzumaki, and she knows that in the face of some trauma like that, her brother would do the exact opposite of what Kawaki did. Her brother would embrace her harder, which we saw signs of that being correct, because the first thing that made Boruto drop his tough guy act when returning to Konoha was hearing Himawari's name, and he said he was glad that Himawari was still looking as well as she was. That was a sign that she was one of the people he was most concerned with during the 3 years he was out on the run. There are enough seeds there that are planted for Himawari to do what Amato and Shikamaru did, which is acknowledge their memories they've been altered and operate with the information at hand once they learn the truth, or rather once they figure out the truth. But the question you might be asking yourself right now is, hey, how would Kurama be able to tell her the truth in a way that makes any sense? After all, we got told repeatedly, and we saw it with Shikamaru. Being told that your memory was altered, that's one thing, and it doesn't work. You can say, Shikamaru, you're being an idiot in his face 100 times in a row the way Sarada did, to a point where she says, I told you countless times, and he still doesn't accept the truth. We have to remember what Ada said in chapter 1. You have to focus on new experiences and basically letting people pick up the breadcrumbs themselves. You can't force them to. When you try to force them to believe their memory's been altered, they're just gonna look at you crazy. And that's what happened when Amato figured out the truth, and Shikamaru figured it out by hearing Amato's confession. That's when he began to have the wheels start turning in his mind. He wasn't directly told, and he figured it out by the information gathered, which led to him talking to Boruto, and even Boruto was aware of this reality, that even after Shikamaru gets told everything, Omnipotence would still try to make him forget the information and just accept it. We saw it happening in real time with Sasuke, to a point where Sasuke is freaking out, saying that he never thought until now he couldn't trust his own memories. That's why Boruto told Shikamaru, you just need to trust me. However, with Kurama and Himawari, look at it from Himawari's perspective. So she's got Kurama deep inside of her, and she didn't even feel him until now. Kurama is someone she hasn't interacted with, and while she does know that Kurama belonged to her father, which goes a long way for credibility, it's still a lot for her to process. But I think that's why if Kurama tells her the truth, it works without breaking the narrative. In fact, the narrative supports it, because Kurama is chakra itself. It's a similar stance to one I've taken consistently with Sarada versus Hidari, and the idea that perhaps the interaction with Sarada in a battle ends up stirring up memories that Sasuke's chakra contains, because we've been shown that chakra can contain memories, and so too does genetic data, shown respectively when Naruto and Hashirama shared their memories through chakra, with both of them doing it during the 4th Ninja War, and Naruto doing it via Boruto, via the parent and child Rasengan, where he showed Boruto all the trials and tribulations that made him into who he is now. We saw Kashin Koji that he contained some of the genetic memories of Jiraiya in a couple of occasions. That's why Kashin Koji had a strong urge pulling him to Konoha. Kurama being part of Himawari, that would be enough to share memories of Boruto being her brother and being Naruto's child, because he saw stuff like Hinata holding baby Boruto through Naruto's eyes. That would go a long way towards making the gears start to click in Himawari's mind to come to the conclusion that her memories were altered, and her also having her heart feel the same when it comes to the truth. But as we saw, she was worried about sharing that truth in the past because of how she would be judged. There is no judgment with Kurama here. There is a connective tissue there when you look at the pre-existing mechanics built into the lore. And if Himawari learns the truth about Kawaki from Kurama, it's just one more domino falling, just as Damon forewarned Kawaki when he said, the moment those Shinju show up into Konoha, they're looking for Naruto. Dude, you're gonna get exposed and I'm going to be laughing. That's exactly what Damon said, and that's exactly what's happening right now. Slowly but surely. It's been one thing after another, and somewhere Damon, he's getting this play-by-play from Ada, and he's laughing at everything that's happening to Kawaki while he's drinking milk from the straw in his milk carton, which, can we take a moment to appreciate this character growth right here? Damon, he went from drinking out of a sippy cup and wearing a bib to sitting at the grown folks dinner table drinking a carton of milk, using a straw nonetheless. Crazy to think that Code got bodied by a kid who can't even tie his own shoelaces, and crazy enough to think that this same kid would fold up Kawaki and he would make Madara and Hashirama his bitch. Now everything is falling into place, just like Damon forewarned. People are asking, why are the Shinju under the impression that Naruto's alive? Why are the Shinju after the Nine Tails? Why is Boruto out here trying to save Konoha when he supposedly killed Naruto and should have no more connections to the village? If Himawari gets told the truth, that's just one more domino falling, and it's just going to continue until Kawaki hears those dreaded two words, locked on, coming right from behind him, and Himawari smashes this dude's head in faster than you can smash this video essay for the Stars and Stripe character on my other channel.